And we're back on Inside the Ropes, and we have touted all week, well, not on tout because we don't use tout, but we have told you there's going to be a mystery guest. And the tagline is, what does everybody want? What do they need? We need Al Snow on Inside the Ropes. And it's happened. He's here. So Al, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be on the show, and I really appreciate you giving me the time.
Absolutely. And you were part of TNA's Hardcore Justice back in 2010, but this Saturday you're going to be appearing for the Hardcore Road Trip in London, Ontario. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about the event and what you think about sort of ECW reunion shows in general as well?
Well, I'm, really excited about the event. It sounds like it's going to be a different and unique event. It's an opportunity for everybody to come back and kind of relive some of that time back during the ECW days. And for those that weren't around or didn't get to see it and experience it firsthand, it's going to be an opportunity to get the chance to get a little taste of what, really has become almost a legend. Anyway, all considered that it was a very small company with a smaller group of guys that literally made their mark to where still to this day, being remembered. And, that's pretty amazing. And it was amazing to get the chance to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And is there anyone in particular, any old friends that you're looking forward to getting to see this Saturday when you get to Ontario?
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, honestly. That's one of the most awesome things is like these shows and things like that are just it's such a great opportunity to, show up and get to see everybody again. It's like a family reunion. It's just really, really cool.
And ECW is known for hardcore, and hardcore wrestling fans, I guess, would remember you from your days in the WWF, and you debuted as Avatar in 1995. And I just wondered, could you kind of talk us through how you ended up in the WWF and who came up with the Avatar gimmick originally?
Well, Vince McMahon came up with the Avatar gimmick. At the time, Mortal Kombat and Power Rangers and all that was very popular, and he wanted to try to be able to exploit that. And I was had been wrestling for about 14, 15 years at the time, and went and met with Vince and spoke with him, and he gave me the opportunity to come in and work there in WWF. I was there for about a 2-year run, and then was put on loan to ECW, and that was where I found the head. And once I found the head, then was brought back to WWE, and had a great career. So I've been, this May 22nd will be 31 years in the wrestling business.
And when you went back to the WWF in the late 90s and you became part of the Job Squad.
Listen, let me explain the Job Squad. The Job Squad, so that everybody understands, was a joke that I made about the fact that a lot of guys took themselves too seriously in WWF. And at the time that I was first there, a lot of the guys really believed in their hearts that they were really winning and that other people were really losing. Hence the pin me, pay me comment that I made. Because the only thing that's fake about professional wrestling is the finish. You don't really win and you don't really lose. And so at the time there were a bunch of gangs. At that angle was, a bunch of gangs in WWF. And, Los Boricuas, everybody had a gang, a group of wrestlers that they were doing that thing. And so I made the joke about that I was going to make a gang called the Job Squad. And, it was going to be all the guys that got beat all the time, and that Undertaker was going to go out and, tombstone pile drive Barry Horowitz, and Barry would get up and dust his head off and act like nothing happened and walk out. And I said, now who do you think has the real power in that? And still to this day, people still talk about winning and losing like it really means something or matters. It doesn't mean squat. You don't have to go over to get over. A good example that I use all the time is Tommy Dreamer. I mean, he was in ECW, never won a match. He was over like crazy. And the same goes for, go down the list of guys, So the whole Job Squad was poking fun at those guys who believed that they were really winning, and that other people were really losing, and that them being in the main event, they were in the main event because they were in the main event by themselves. They were a star unto themselves, you're nothing, or no, and I don't care how talented you are, you're nothing without somebody else. You don't win unless somebody's willing to lose for you. You don't lose unless you're doing it to put somebody over so that you think that everybody will make more money. You can't be the main event without the opening match. You can't be the opening match without the main event. Everybody needs everybody. And so the absurd idea that, you're really winning and other people are really losing was just ridiculous. Those comments about, oh, he's a curtain jerker. Well, you need him. He's just as important to the show as the main event is. And it all goes hand in hand. Nobody makes money on their own. As over as Jesus is, he's the most over babyface in the history of the world. But Jesus won't draw money if Satan ain't got heat. You can go in any Christian-based, church or diocese or, whatever you want to call them, and house of worship, and they'll spend 3/4 of the time putting heat on Satan. Because if Satan ain't got heat, Jesus don't get over. Jesus don't get over, Satan ain't got heat. It's just the way it goes. So, the Job Squad was a joke, and then, they tried to use that because at the time, by putting all those other guys with me to give them the rub by being associated with me, Bob Holly, Scorpio, Beanie, we were supposed to be a group of oddballs and outsiders. So it wasn't because guys got beat. It was because of the fact that, we were supposed to be the outside group.
There was an angle in 1999 which I guess made some people complain, but a lot of people still remember it to this day, and that's the angle you did with the Big Boss Man and Pepper that still gets talked about to this day. Can you just tell us a little bit about that angle, who came up with it, what you thought of it?
Just that, the only thing I can tell you is that Vince Russo had come up with the idea and had told me about the Kennel from Hell match, and my only time, right from the start, I said, well, you have to get trained animals. You have to get highly, highly trained animals. And the biggest mistake they made was they literally centered the entire story around animals, which anybody in entertainment in any form will tell you that kids and animals you never do. And then what ended up happening was, the day of the pay-per-view, they waited till that day and contacted a bunch of veterinarian clinics around Charlotte, North Carolina, and got a bunch of diverse owners with diverse, with Rottweilers, and one dog had some obedience training. So it got to the point to where it was a debacle, because, you've got the entire story centered around these dogs when you can't use them because none of them have been trained. And to the point to where they're out there urinating, defecating, and literally fornicating, and you can't even show them on TV because of their actions. And now you've got to try to tell a story centered around something that has been made the focal point for months that now you can't use.
Shortly after that, you would do the heel turn with Mick Foley, and it kind of didn't last too long. It seemed like fans didn't really want to boo you at the time. What do you think about that, and do you wish that the angle with Mick had maybe lasted a little bit longer?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I'm not sure why. I take the responsibility upon myself that that the angle didn't run further and farther, further than what it did, because at the end of the day, when you go out to the ring, it's your responsibility to get whatever done, the business is done.
And you were also part of the WWE when they brought back ECW as a third brand in 2006. When that was happening, did you think that they were going to make a product that was going to be similar to the original, and what did you think of that brand as a whole in the representation of ECW?
Well, I didn't think that they were going to make it this. I thought they were going to make it, Vince has got a different vision and a different direction. And what I try to explain to everybody is that, ECW was a niche, marketing. It was done to a certain audience, and Vince is going to try to market to the mass audience. And it's kind of like when you go to watch a comic book movie. The producers of a comic book movie try to stay true to the original comic book, but they've got to try to adapt it a little bit so that, the general audience will also find appeal. I mean, they've got to walk that thin line where they try to please the hardcore comic book fan, and then at the same time, open up the story and the characters to where a general fan who doesn't read comic books will enjoy it. And that's what I think WWE, Vince tried to do with the ECW brand was, he tried to stay to a degree true to as much as he could the original ECW, but, but with his own vision and with the idea that he was going to try to open it up to, the mass market.
And in 2010, you went to TNA, became an agent there. How did that come around, and how are you enjoying it?
I just was offered the position as an agent in TNA, and then finally they this past year, offered me the position of senior director of talent relations with TNA, and it's been, they're a wonderful company, they're an up and coming company, and it's been a great opportunity to be involved with such a positive, terrific company with amazing talent. I'm very fortunate and very blessed to still get to be a part of a business that I love so dearly to be a part of.
And you've been involved on TV a little bit with Joey Ryan. You also had the match, and you'll be facing him this Saturday in Ontario. What do you think of his potential and what we've seen from him so far?
I think Joey Ryan's a very talented guy, and has a tremendous upside to him. If he didn't, he wouldn't have been hired and given that opportunity with TNA. We just can't afford to just put anybody on the roster. And he took advantage of an opportunity with GutCheck and got himself hired, and has done a tremendous job.
One of the things that TNA did in 2012, which was a large talking point, was the Aces and Eights angle. What have you thought about that? Have you enjoyed kind of seeing it play out on TV and seeing the reactions that people have had?
I think it's great. We've got real heels that are a real threat physically to the baby faces, and it's we've taken great pains to make logical storytelling steps to where 1 week leads to the next week, which leads to the next week, which leads to the next week, and it's been great. It's been I think that Aces and Eights angle, we've yet to really. It kind of has had its run, but it kind of petered out a little bit because the original plan wasn't for it to run as long as it did. But it's picking up steam, and I think it's going to really got places to go.
And the last thing we just wanted to ask you, Al, was obviously over here, British Boot Camp for TNA was a huge success, and Rockstar Spud went on to win the British Boot Camp. Where do you kind of see him fitting in TNA in the future? Do you see him kind of maybe going down an X Division route, or is there somewhere else that you, as a sort of talent relations guy, would look and think you would place him?
I would imagine in the X Division, considering, right now, the obvious place will be the X Division, considering his size and his style. I think that's going to be the best fit for him right now. And then going forward, who knows? That's up to him.
Well, Al, thank you very much for coming on the show and joining us. If people want to get tickets for this Saturday, or if they want to check out more about the brand in general, they can go to hardcoreroadtrip.ca, where you can buy tickets, check out the roster, check out the events coming up. I'm
hoping that I see everybody there this weekend at the Hardcore Road Trip. I'm going to be there, and it's going to be an amazing event. And, I'm really excited to come out and be a part of it again. And, I hope everybody does come out and relive the old days of ECW and some of the new talent that are going to be there too. And, it's definitely going to be a really cool event, and I would strongly suggest for people to come out and be a part of it. Thank you for your time. We just wanted to ask, obviously, your longtime friend Mick Foley's going into the Hall of Fame in April, Madison Square Garden. Will you be sort of going along to that? How do you feel about Mick finally getting to go in the Hall of Fame? I think it's great. I couldn't be happier for Mick that he's being inducted in the Hall of Fame. And I think it's apropos that he is inducted in the Hall of Fame, and, I just congratulate him that, he gets recognized and is placed in there and deserves it, clearly deserves it. So, I congratulate him and I'm very happy for him. Al, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.